everyone. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Onora Boys in the building, and we are brought to you by ONORA Whiskey. It is ONORAWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, ONORAWhiskey.com. And if you're going to drink, by all means, you have to make sure that you do it responsibly. Let's go. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Audio Edibles, CFB Nation, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, patreon.com/Lucky Lefty Network, Players Only Podcast, Lucky Legends, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Lucky Lefty Pod. Subscribe on YouTube, Lucky Lefty Network. Give us a thumbs up. It helps with the views. Leave your comments, questions. We respond to all. Notre Dame, they toppled Troy. The USC Trojans, 49-35, 11-1 on the season. Sitting fast, sitting pretty. Waiting until next weekend when they will see where they sit in the college football playoff rankings and who they will play at Notre Dame Stadium in the quarterfinals. Onora Boys, MALIK, ZAIRE, SHAUN Davis. Here to gauge how you feeling, Notre Dame fans. Are you excited? Is the excitement still with you on today? We're going to hear from Marcus Freeman. We're going to hear from the players, Riley Leonard, Christian Gray. Of course, we're going to have Malik's post-snap read. And then we're going to talk about National Signing Day, which is coming up in a few days. And then the transfer portal opens in a few days. We'll talk about that and preview that a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit more extensively with our guy Ryan Roberts, who will join us tomorrow to really break it down. What will Notre Dame be going with or going after in the portal? I can say this: Notre Dame is going to be uber aggressive for impact players in the portal. Notre Dame would not be going to the portal to get depth. I expect Notre Dame to be very aggressive in the portal for impact, especially at a couple of positions. So we'll talk about that. We want to hear from you. So get your GTV questions in, get your super chats in. And then the question of the day. Feel free to chime in either on the tweet that we put out. It's on X at SD2Mics at Lucky Lefty Pod. What are your three biggest stories and narratives for this season? The three biggest narratives and stories for this season. Hit us up and let us know what you think about that. GTB Super Chats, we welcome them all. Lucky Lefty Podcast, home of the misguided passion, forever committed to making sure that we spin it different. Lef, how you feeling, man?
Good, man. Good. Just wrapping up a regular season that we expected, and the playoff picture is looking clearer and clearer every time we have a week of football. So
yeah,
we were being in control of our destiny, and we're right where we need to be.
So, once again, USC falls to Notre Dame 49-35. Compelling game. Reminded me of the 2012 game, right? Notre Dame was the much better team going into that matchup in the Coliseum. And, ended up being a closer game than you thought. Notre Dame, I think, closed as a 6.5-point favorite in certain sports books. The 7.5 stuck. And they come out that first drive. They get the stop. They come out the first drive. They score. And then they stop USC. They get the ball back. You're like, okay, we're about to march right back down the field, go up 2 scores. And once Notre Dame gets up 2 scores with the defense, you feel pretty confident. To say the least, it was not the best performance by the Notre Dame defense. But we're going to start with Malik's post-snap read, brought to you by ONORA Whiskey. Left, your post-snap read on what you saw from Notre Dame and Mike Denbrock offensively against the Trojans.
Another 49 performance day, almost to 50. I thought offensively we highlighted what we can't do well, and then we highlighted what we can do really well. And once we, stop playing around and play our offense, there's nobody that can hang with us and have enough to cover both the run and the pass.
Yeah, once again, Notre Dame, the run game is just out of control right now, man. Dylan McCullough, this offensive line, their run blocking has gotten so much better. They have their moments, but when you continually put up over 200 yards on the ground, and I understand. I said this when people were worried about USC. I tried to just tell people, man, this game will be a bigger tone setter and will tell a bigger narrative about who Notre Dame is at this point in the season. This game had absolutely nothing to do with USC. USC gave Notre Dame their best punch. And Notre Dame still won by double digits. I said Notre Dame would win this game by double digits, regardless of how it went. That was just the confidence I had in Notre Dame and where they were as a team. And I think who they are as a team showed and proved at the end of the day in some difficult situations because they had not played any close games leading up to this. And you look up in the third quarter and it's a tie game, love. Notre Dame hadn't been in that deep water in a long time. But the truth about who they are as a team, the truth about who they are as a staff, it came and rose to the top. The cream rose to the top.
I mean, this is the first game we actually saw us play 3/4 of a game. Usually it's over by halftime. And the last time we saw something this close at that long of a game was at NIU, and we ended up losing that. But like you said, they gave us our best shot, which was 28 points, and we ended it with the best part of our team, which is our defense having back-to-back pick sixes, putting the baby to bed. And if that's how we're going to be led this year is defensively, especially when it gets tight, I'm okay with that because it takes the pressure off of offense. And offense being a quiet giant like we have been, being able to stifle a lot of teams' defenses and game plans because we're playing close with the run and we can always get first downs and big plays. So it stresses a team out because usually when you're doing well on offense, your defense is playing well. But with us, you have to play a complete team game. Offense and defense have to play well. And most teams are only one-sided. We happen to show this last week that we're a two-sided team. Defensively, you have to have your best offense, and offensively, you have to have your best offense on that day.
Yeah, once again, question of the day. Give us your 3 top stories or narratives coming out of this regular season for Notre Dame. What stood out to you? The 3 things that stood out to you. Put it in the chat because we want to talk about it towards the end of the show. Want to see what you guys think, see if they line up with our 3 top narratives and stories from the regular season. Will the Huskies be in there? Will Thomas Hammock be in there? Will 84 Days make it to the top 3? We'll see, but we want to know what your top 3 stories for the regular season. 11-1 Notre Dame. They are 4th in the AP poll, and they sit and wait to see who they'll face at home at Notre Dame Stadium in the quarterfinals of the initial 12-team expanded college football playoffs. Lucky Lefty podcast. So let's get into the nuances of the offense, Left. Were you more impressed? What were the things you were more impressed? You talked about the offense continuing to grow and seeing a full performance from the offense, the run game, the pass game, big plays in both areas. What was it that they used to attack the USC defense? Because other than the fumbles, USC didn't stop Notre Dame's offense all day. Literally, Notre Dame was able to do whatever they wanted to do offensively against USC.
Yeah, I think it's just having the fact that we have the hot and cold water that we can turn on to a team, and it makes it tough. I love the fact that when we catch on to something that works, we stick to it. So if the run game is catching fire, we don't jump away from it too often. But then we have times where I think we get into our ego. So we, like to force things that we want instead of what the defense gives us. But the ability to adjust and rely on certain guys and those guys step up when they're called is next level. Usually you go to one guy all game. We've been able to show, okay, we can turn a guy on Then we can go to another guy and turn him on. Then we go to another guy and turn him on. And now it becomes impossible to beat. And like you said, that run blocking week to week has been vastly improved and gotten better. And it's just changed the game. It's really made, like I said, you have to be a complete offense and defense. A lot of these teams we've seen in the top 10 and top 25 have either been greatly one-sided or been slightly good on both. We've been great on both sides, which makes the difference in the points, but also what makes the difference by that fourth quarter.
I apologize for that. I had myself muted. It's amazing that we talk about this offense and the maturation of this offense. And we're going to hear from Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard, man, let me tell you something, because I have been critical of his post-game press conferences, especially when things weren't going as well. He gave one of his best press conferences after this USC matchup. And he didn't change. He's still very much honest to the core, almost too honest at times. But this time, his honesty hit the mark in his press conference. So we'll hear from him talking about so many things about the offense. But Jeremiah Love goes down in the third quarter left. And from the reports that we're hearing, it's a minor setback. He should be 100%. They're going to have about 2 weeks of rest. They're going to get him back up, and he'll be ready to go for that quarterfinal matchup at Notre Dame Stadium, regardless of who the opponent is. But when you think about him dropping out, what were your initial feelings when you heard Jeremiah Love was done for the day from the CBS broadcasters?
Well, it's one of those things where, okay, where is our next role player going to make his appearance? And we've been seeing bits and pieces of that throughout the season of different guys having explosive playability, big playability, and been playing well when we caught on them. And so with Jeremiah Love, it was an interesting challenge to see who's going to step up, because that might happen in the playoffs. And for us to continue to have dynamic pieces that have a time when they turn up, they don't have to do it all game, but have moments that they can fill in to replace productivity just shows that we're deep, and it's not just in depth, but it's in production as well.
Offensive line steps up. They manhandled the defensive front. And we were on thank you guys for joining us in the in-game huddle that we had. We had our first in-game huddle, and I think it's something we might do going forth for the playoff matchups. We expect multiple games because I expect Notre Dame to take care of business in the quarterfinals and get to the semifinal. But definitely going into next year, the regular season, I think that's something we had a ball chopping it up with you guys during the game. So hopefully that's something we can do a little bit more next season. But even that left, I just think about the bits and pieces that they have, the things that they can go to. I had full confidence in Jadarian Price, full confidence. And of course, he goes and breaks off that big touchdown run. But I want to give kudos to Riley Leonard, because when he threw that, and I don't know what it is, the equation of Riley Leonard plus Chris Mitchell plus a long pass for some reason just equals an interception. It's just amazing, man. I don't know why he can't get the ball to Chris Mitchell, because he was clearly about to run past the USC defender. And that was just, once again, I guess, not bad eyes, but bad feet, bad ball. It was just an awful throw. And he admitted as much in the post game. But to come back from that, and let's put a bookmark in that, because I think the most important downs of the game came right after that for the Notre Dame defense. The Notre Dame defense, who gave up the most yardage they've given up and the most points they've given up all season, struggled, but at the most critical time after that interception left, when USC returns the ball and they're in plus territory, I believe they started at the Notre Dame 44-yard line in this series, and Notre Dame gives up 7 yards on first down and then doesn't give up another yard for that series. Turnover on downs. Xavier Watts, fantastic. Man, that dude made so much money. If that dude isn't a first round pick in the NFL draft at safety, I don't know. I don't know what scouts are looking at. I don't care what he runs in the 40 left. Can he play? I know he plays fast. That's exactly what I know. A great
It's like Kyle Hamilton.
No, I'm talking about Xavier Watts.
I'm sure they both play fast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You said like Cal Hampton. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. My bad. Yeah. That's like once they get on the field, I don't care what that 40 watch says. I don't care what the stopwatch says. Give me the film. Great put pass breakup to seal that, get the ball back to Notre Dame, and they go back and score and then take control of the game. But the Jaden Thomas fumble, it is what it is. Other than that, they really left. Was this their cleanest offensive game of the year, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it gave us a great view of, can we continue to score points when it's close?
Yeah.
And not sway in that momentum of they get a good stop or they are coming from behind or they're keeping it a one-score game. We can continue to play our game, which is good. But we have the luxury of being a two-way team where we're definitely a running team, and then we're passing at will. And sometimes those passes become chance, which is a weakness, but we have so much talent to cover up those mistakes so far. We proved it that we can even still be close, and we have a lights-out defense that can close it out, which is rare to have in college football. 2 pick sixes to end it is crazy.
Yeah, that was bananas, bro. That was bananas. I think someone said Jaden Mayava, I tip my cap to Jaden Mayava, bro. That kid was throwing some dimes. He was throwing some dimes, and they really challenged. This is the first wide receiver core that really could challenge Notre Dame's defensive backfield, specifically down the field. There was a point where Notre Dame was stifling the USC offense in that second quarter, and I said on the in-game huddle, I said, Lincoln Riley has yet to challenge our DBs deep, but you know it's coming. You know it's coming. And it's almost like he set it up that way and lulled them to sleep. Just work, intermediate, work the run game, tried to methodically move the ball down the field, and then when they got behind in that second quarter, he started to go down the field. Christian Gray, we'll get to him. Great start to the game. Middle part, kind of a loss of confidence. Really was kind of fighting himself. I don't know if it's a twitch. I guess that's the word, for him to reach for the shoulder pad in coverage. But he has to work on that. And I think that's the nuances that Benjamin Morrison kind of talked about with you over the summer. It's like once Christian in preparation gets the nuances down, he's going to be overall just dominant. But I agree, Left. I'm really trying to think. Navy was pretty clean. Purdue was definitely clean offensively.
I think what made it clean is it was a challenge.
It was more challenging.
We was comfortable the whole time, and we made mistakes, and we were punished for that, where we felt like the defense was giving up more and we had to step up. So we never gave it away to where the defense was out of position of couldn't close. That's the strongest part of our team, and that's what made it real complete. I think Saturday, which was good. We still were able to hit a point total to where I think other teams are going to be having a hard time reaching. Just being able to get 49 in the game and have 35 offensively looked pretty good. How many teams can continue to keep scoring? You see a lot of the close games that we saw and the rivalry games, but those were low-scoring games. The Michigan-Ohio State game was 13-10 for a long time. The Auburn-Alabama game was close. That was a 28-point victory. You look at the Georgia game, it took 7 overtimes to get 44 points. 7 overtimes. So for us to get 49 in regulation, with all different factors included, flying across country, all of that, I think we were able to handle it really well and then show a good sense of a football team that isn't wavered. And I thought a couple teams showed that, and that was us in Oregon. And I think Texas played good in spurts, but, even they had issues down the stretch.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So let's go to the defensive side of the ball. They were exhausted, Left. I'm going to keep it a buck. Lincoln Riley did an incredible job. I think strategically, knowing that Notre Dame 56% of the time is going to be in man. He definitely was well prepared with some man breakers, but you know what he made up in his mind, Left? We're going to have to go get big chunks. Lincoln Riley did not want any part of trying to be methodical with this team. He was like, we're going to have to hit them over the top. We have to get them on their heels. And then when we hit them over the top, then possibly we can get some run game action going. Woody Marks goes down. Quinn Joyner, he broke a couple of big ones. Their freshman made a couple of big runs on that last drive. I don't know. Notre Dame pretty much was like, man, we don't care. I know Marcus Freeman called a timeout like, yo, we got to finish. But at that time, they like, bro, we are exhausted, bro. We've been carrying this team on our back the entire season. We're down 2 players. We're already down 3 starters, 2 of our best pass rushers. Man, X just got hurt on the sideline. It's like, Coach, I hear you. Now, I was telling somebody in the huddle, I think you had stepped out after the pick 6 with Christian Gray. They throw him right back out there on the field. He's exhausted, bro. He's exhausted. And what does USC do? They go over the top against him that play. He's exhausted. And I'm saying, man, we could have thrown somebody out there for a play or 2 just to give him a quick breather. Marcus Freeman ended up having to call a timeout because he's gasping for air, in the middle of that series, holding his back. And this defense, man, they squeezed every bit of juice out of what they had left on that field on Saturday. And the most important thing is when they were needed the most, they showed up. When they were needed the most, they showed up.
Yeah, and then great players make great plays. And I think Christian Gray had quite a journey just throughout the game, being challenged in different ways. And then when the rubber hit the road, he was able to make a stand. And not just a stand, he put a stamp on the game. And I think that, you look back at the ups and downs, this is his first time actually being challenged, just like the rest of the unit. And, we showed even that our unit is still something to be messed with. And I think USC has quality receivers enough that, okay, yeah, if you got some good receivers, we can still be able to, with all things included, injuries and everything, we still able to step up and make plays that, I even think even if teams looked at USC and saw some things, they would still think it's still going to be a long day to overcome everything we have included.
Riley, I'm gonna be honest, man. The crib got away with one. The crib got away with one on Saturday, man, because your boy Riley Mills should have been thrown out the game. My man Riley Mills, and I understand my man was twisting his knee in the pile, which was dirty. But Riley Mills, man, there's no way the refs didn't see him punch my man.
Yeah, they caught that in 4K. Even when they was reviewing the touchdown, they couldn't avoid it.
They couldn't have missed it. That was definitely.
Even the TV was trying to highlight it. So.
Right. The crib got away with one.
I don't know what he had going that day, but he got lucky.
Man, because if they had taken him out, that would have been a huge loss. I will say this. I didn't have a problem with the pass rush on Saturday. I thought Jaden Mayava made some perfect throws as he was getting hit. He made some throws as he was getting hit. That was pressure, and they came with the blitzes a little bit later in the game. That was something
when they got late, you can tell those last two picks. That's just what getting hit all the time does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
It worked eventually.
Yeah, and how you don't expect Notre Dame to, dude, they're just, you take Botello and Traore away, it's the edge rush is not the same. It's just not. It's not going to be the same. Can it be good enough to speed the quarterback up and from attrition lead to turnovers late in games? That's what you want to work yourself to. I was more disappointed early in some of the runs that they were giving up. But, that gap, that G-gap scheme away from the field that Lincoln Riley, going back to his Oklahoma days, was famous for. It's something that when they spread you out and they have that light box, they were able to get to. But other than that, and the early tackling issues, and there's some tackling issues throughout the game. And I think that just, like I said, I think the Notre Dame defense left. I don't think whatever they had left, they gave you on Saturday. You couple that with a really good play caller in Lincoln Riley and the first group of receivers from a size and talent standpoint that could really challenge Notre Dame. And you come up with, their worst performance of the year. But they'll learn from it. Christian Gray will learn from it. Leonard Moore, Notre Dame, every time they threw at Leonard Moore, I just shook my head like, I don't know what you think you're getting there. Before that last touchdown that he gave up, they were 1 for 9 against Leonard Moore in that game. I think he registered 6 pass breakups in that game. That's the confidence. Like, I trust Christian Gray is going to be fine moving forward. But when you have Leonard Moore playing at that level, yeah. This year, playoffs, and even going into 25.
Yeah, I think that Mike Makin's secondary is fit to you may give up some, but you're gonna make it a hard time. I loved how Christian Gray came out. I mean, he came out tackling, defeating blocks, playing good technique. I think his over-aggressiveness was what was getting him beat, and then his adjustment later in the game just shows his growth over the season, that he's being moved into more of that veteran spot. And Riley and Leonard Moore has been playing well off of that. And just making it just a 1-2 combo, that's just hard. I mean, things were there, but over the course of the game, besides you having a perfect game plan up to an extent, how do you just defeat that overtime? And you got to worry about your defense playing defense.
Yeah, so overall, Notre Dame, once again, tremendous victory. I can say this, man. I already know where you're about to go, Left, so I'm just going to go ahead and big up Marty Biaggi once again, coming up with a great, first of all, the kahunas on Marcus Freeman to call the fake punt deep in his own territory at that point in the game. And last but not least, if they thought long picture or big picture when they brought Tyler Buckner back into the football program, if these are the types of things that we've seen, the way they've used him in special teams and preparation for Army and Navy, if this is the value they saw for him coming back in the program, man, you tip your cap. Once again, great call, big kahunas, the creativity, absolutely amazing. The execution, absolutely amazing. Special teams, once again, I said it. Last 3 games, as frustrating as the place kicking has been, and it has been very frustrating. Once again, a short field goal was missed against USC in the first half. Notre Dame didn't need a place kicker for the month of November. They didn't. They were good enough to go out and beat all of these teams without having that. Now, with that said, that's not something you want to go into a game to. I guess the news broke. I saw it in the chat. Double R, what's good, brother? I saw Notre Dame finally recruited the #1 kicker in the nation. Finally, Notre Dame has recruited a place kicker instead of going to the portal. Finally. Thank you. Thank you. Can we get our own? Hopefully next season will be the start of the same thing happening for the quarterback room. Like, we're done with this portal. Let's go get our own.
We're done with the portal.
Man, we're done with the portal for that. We can go supplement other areas for the portal. But special teams, I mean, you can say what you want to say, Left. I know you don't like, the fair catch you coming back. Really, kick returns, punt return, really not having an explosion on it. You've talked about that extensively. James Rendell, ladies and gentlemen, look, James Rendell had one of his biggest punts when Notre Dame was backed up and he flipped the field for Notre Dame. That was huge. And he was good. When you let James Rendell punt and he comes back next year, you let him punt and you don't go to Aussie rugby style, you see what you get. You see what you get from him. It was the same thing we saw during the spring. This is what he was doing during the spring and fall camp. This is what he was doing. So when he comes out early in the season, they're trying this rugby style and all that stuff. Man, when I tell you confused, I had no clue why this was being done, but I'm so happy to see him. Once again, his performance in the month of November and what he's been able to do. You saw the improvement. You saw the ascension. You saw confirmation for why they went out and got him and why there was an excitement leading into the season about what he could do for the punt game, which has been a sore spot, I would say, for at least 3 to 4 seasons for Notre Dame, mired in inconsistency. So the game on Saturday, Left, was really a macrocosm, or a microcosm, shall I say, not a macro, but a microcosm of the entire season encapsulated by one game, like the ups and downs and what it took to be able to finish things off. It was no better way to finish off this season than to do it against USC the way they did it. Let's get to some GTB questions before we switch over to the coaches and players. John Massey, Lil Tunchi. Why does Ryan look so weird? It looks like when you hit random and create a character in video games. Why does Ryan Day look? Oh, I'm sorry. I misread that. Why does Ryan Day look so weird? He looks like when you hit random and create a character in video games. I told you all last Monday what was going to happen if Ryan Day lost to this Michigan team. Just stay tuned for the petty train. Oh, stay tuned for today's petty train. You left. I told you. I was going to have an epic rant about that dude, Ryan Day. I told you.
That's right.
I told you. It's coming.
Yeah, it's got to. I mean, that's unacceptable. But we talked about it, and it is something that it just proves that even $20 million can't help you if you don't have a quarterback.
Can't help you. Left. He lost to the worst Michigan team in the last 7 years. The worst.
It couldn't be that bad.
But let me forewarn you. See, you can say what you want to say about Michigan. They went on the road against Ohio State and Indiana and had a chance to beat both of them in the last 2 minutes. That tells me everything I need to know about both of those teams.
Yeah.
Notre Dame would crush Michigan. That Michigan squad, Notre Dame would beat them by easily 3 touchdowns. Michigan was a 20.5 point underdog, bro, on the road with no quarterback. Davis Warren, is that his name?
I think.
Davis Warren? No quarterback. 20.5 point underdog.
Yeah.
In the shoe.
He was struggling.
And people want to know, man, are you worried?
And they really could have lost by more. He didn't throw that crazy pick.
One of the worst interceptions you'll ever see.
You'll ever see.
One of the worst interceptions.
I mean, dude, just anything but what you did. If you just threw it in front of him, it would have been like a 10-point loss.
That's all.
Yeah.
Lilo Galante, GTB. Do you think the USC wide receiver core would be the best ND faces all season, including playoffs? USC's wide receivers, no, they're not better than Ohio State. So if let's just say Ohio State ends up 11, Notre Dame ends up 6, and Ohio State has to come, I don't think they want to see that. I think they would rather see Notre Dame, Ohio State in the semifinals. But I would take Oregon's wide receiver core. I would take Ohio State's wide receiving core. I would take Colorado's wide receiving core over USC's.
But they're not in it.
I'm just strictly talking about talent and depth.
SMU.
Yeah, I haven't paid that much attention to SMU, but you're probably right, Love. You're probably right.
Miami, if they get in.
Man. I guess they put up numbers. Horton and yeah. Their size. Restrepo is definitely a beast in the slot. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Left. You're right about that one. Not as much star power, but
Texas,
definitely. Yeah. No, I don't know. I think their biggest challenge could end up being in the semifinals. The semis and the final of the playoffs from a wide receiver standpoint. I agree with you there, Left. Andrew Rhodes says resilience, violence, and growth is his 3 biggest narratives and stories for the regular season. That's good, Andrew. I like all of those. Hossey, 03 GTB, pay Mike Nickens and Dylan McCullough whatever they want. Dang right. You got dang right.
I mean, I think everybody's earned their money this year, for sure.
Yeah. Is there a weak link on this coaching staff? Nah. No.
Not right now.
No. Greg Listman Jr. Thank you for the super chat, my brother. Go Irish. Excited for the deep playoff run this team will make. From your lips to God's ears. Absolutely. Get your super chats in and your GTB questions. Before we leave this game and go over to what Marcus Freeman and the players had to say, Left, is there anything else that you want to point out, whether it be the season or this game in particular?
Yeah, I just think, at the end of the day, this is still a bad USC team that we played. They were very small in the back end. We were punishing them physically, and like you said, we really wasn't affected defensively at all from this team. We just made some mistakes that we've made really all season, but we've been able to play so well in the later quarters of games that it really made the difference. So I think for our starters to be pushed past playing just a half, as opposed to now they had to play kind of into the fourth, I think just put some good tread on them, just because we've been so used to, at that point, we're subbing in and out, we laughing and joking, we've been whooping teams pretty bad. Now we had to whoop a team towards the end of a game. So just put some more stamina on us. And I do think that Marcus Freeman had to, coach a little bit longer than he's had to in the past few games, which is all good for the playoffs. You don't want to run into a playoff situation because now you have 2 weeks off where you haven't had to press the gas on a team, especially late in the game, because the opposing team is doing a pretty good job offensively and scoring some points. So for us to be able to offensively on our end be so dominant it just made it overwhelming for a team not built on both sides to play well towards the end. So I think going against a team that's actually, in consideration of being in the playoffs, how does that balance work with a better offense and a better defense? I think USC, just because it's a rivalry game, Lincoln Riley is an offensive guy. What does that look like against a Texas where, Steve Sarkisi's an offensive guy? He can put on points on the scoreboard. But can he? I mean, Texas A&M had Texas 17 for most of the game. So, maybe there is something to having a stout defense, but even their corner was getting challenged at Texas A&M. He ended up having to pick six himself. So, guys have been pretty resilient, and I think for us, we just need to go out there and play our game, and we're going to have an opportunity to be at home. I don't think it makes a difference for us. We're a team that plays pretty countrywide, so I think the playoff travel wouldn't be hard for us, even if it's in a neutral site, because we play at a couple of neutral sites where we're away. So I think this is a right on schedule, right on brand for us, where we can go in there and really do some damage.
Another super sticker. Lisa Robinson, thank you for the super sticker. We appreciate you. GTB question or comment. Either one of you fellas going to a home playoff game is going to be electric. I'm like Big O, man. I don't want any part of that cold, bro.
That's the true ice bowl. I'm telling you, December 20th.
Let me tell you something, bro. Let me tell you something, man. I was so disappointed in myself, man. I almost turned in my G card this weekend.
Yeah.
Chicago broke me this weekend, bro.
Really?
I ain't want to go outside. I've never stepped outside in Chicago in my natural life and feared the cold. Ever.
It was like, I don't want any part of that.
Bro, I was embarrassed, bro. And I had family up. And I was embarrassed. I was acting like them. My family's from Memphis. It's like 60 degrees in Memphis all last week. So for them, it's like, oh my God, I'm acting like them. I grew up in this. I'm supposed to be better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, my blood is just not as thick as it was, bro. And there was nothing I could do about it. Nothing I could do about it. My daughter was like, yo, let's go to Oak Brook. Let's go to the outdoor mall. I lasted like 40 minutes, bro. I'm like, I used to, and I'm sitting, this is the crazy thing, Left. I'm looking at teenagers walking around with strictly hoodies. It is 29 degrees and snowing, and literally teenagers are walking outside with like hoodies. That's it.
It's changed.
Just hoodies. And I'm like, that used to be me. That used to be me. My blood used to be boiling. I was straight. I'm like, now I'm sitting up here with a skull cap, a scarf, a jacket, layers, and I'm freezing. This is crazy. I was embarrassed. I was like, y'all come take my Chicago card right now.
It gets like that, man. It gets like that.
Take my gold card right now, bro.
Yeah.
Want no parts of it. Halsey with another one. Which linebacker do you think had the biggest year?
I would say Drake Bowen. I think he's just fit right into the role that we've needed him to play. He's played a little bit beyond what we probably expected, just because of how consistently dominant he's been in moments, and then the way that everybody's played off of him and him being a leader of that defense. I think he's really played it into his role, quite well. And just overall year, I think he's got to be up for it.
Oh, man, this is tough, man. Drake's a good one. And you could just see the game slowing down for Drake. Like that one play where USC's audible and he's like calling out the play. And I'm like, yo, that's dope.
He knows something, yeah.
Like, okay, and if that continues, if that type of growth physically and mentally, knowing the game, which means he's going to play faster and be better, he's already a leader. He's already physical. He already brings that presence to your defense. Man, that's the perfect person to step in when Jack Kaiser goes to the NFL. He's the perfect guy to step in and lead the way, and he's going to be surrounded by other talented players. I think Jalen Sneed has had a resurgence at the linebacker position. I think Jaden Ausberry has been the best tackler in space for this football team, and it's definitely flashed at moments. Kingston, who didn't play on Saturday, has flashed. Just think that I was talking to Brian Driscoll this weekend. I was like, people forget Bodie Cahoon is redshirting. Like, we forget about that kid. That kid broke high school records for tackling. And he's just in the cut, just chilling. He's in the cut, just waiting to be released and unleashed on college football next year. This linebacker room is dumb. It's just dumb. If I had to choose one, you chose Drake. I'll go ahead and choose Jaden Ausberry. I just think Jaden Ausberry, man, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and show respect. I'm going to go ahead and show respect to Jack Kaiser, because I'm going to be honest. I expected Jack Kaiser to kind of fade. I expected the youngsters and their talent to kind of overwhelm Jack Kaiser. And I think Jack Kaiser kept up with those dudes. So I tip my cap. I don't know if they inspired him and pushed him, or it was the reverse, but he definitely kept pace with the young linebackers this year with his play. So I'm going to tip my cap and say Jack Kaiser had the biggest year. I love what I saw from Jack Kaiser. Jack Kaiser got himself to an NFL roster. I don't know if it's going to be via a draft pick or
he'll be playing. He'll be playing, yeah.
But he's definitely going to be playing. He's an NFL linebacker. All right, let's hear from Marcus Freeman. I think his open to this USC press conference and then his conversation about this season and what it meant and what he's learned took center stage. But this is how he began the press conference after the 49-35 win over USC.
Out of this group, it's an honor to be a part of this football program with these guys, with this coaching staff. To see where we were 84 days ago to, where we're at now, it's a testament to the trust and the decisions that those guys in that locker room and the coaching staff and everybody that helps have made. And this is what it's all about, man. It's the journey, right? There's a journey, and you can't let the highest of highs and lowest of lows deter you from what you need to do to reach your goals. And so it's awesome. I'm excited. We're going to enjoy this thing. We'll worry about the future later. Like, I know people want to ask about the future, but let's enjoy this victory in this rivalry game versus a really good USC team, which we knew going into the game they were a good team, a really good team. And so proud of these guys, and we're going to have a happy flight back home.
Coach looked exhausted, bro. He looked like it had been weighing on him a little bit. Love this every week for Notre Dame after Northern Illinois was a must win.
Yeah, and must win in style too. And I think can finally exhale a little bit on. He probably proved it to himself that he can get his team to where he knew it could be. He just had to recover after that NIU week, and I think he has mentally. He's overcame that obstacle of, okay, let's not prove them right by having another stumble after NIU, and I think he's done a tremendous job of, now looking back on how some of these teams we've beat has had an effect on college football towards the end, especially on teams that have been so revered throughout the season, like Miami and Texas A&M and the teams that they have played and beat and how they went on and challenged teams that have been ranked above us and this, that, and the third. And we can look back on how USC has played the teams that are in contention. So it's like a lot of ways that we've won and the ways how we've won in a dominant fashion has just showed that, yeah, we're plenty ready for the playoffs, and you can kind of get a picture of what we would look like against some of these teams that ended up being in the playoffs for us. So, you know, I think in a way we're more prepared than what people may give us credit for heading into some of these potential matchups, but also just in general that we've done everything we were supposed to. We didn't get to some of these rivalry games and towards the end and falter or come close to what some of these teams are just dragging themselves across the finish line to get to. And so I think aside from not only that in the games, like what's a Georgia's mental going into a playoff situation where now they got the SEC championship and they got another chance at a playoff game. So, they might be mentally taxed by the time they have to come up against Notre Dame that, in my opinion, we're going to be the freshest going in to a playoff situation to start off at home. So that's all the momentum and then some. So I think everything is looking good for Notre Dame moving forward. And, we just got to wait and see now.
Wait and see is right. Notre Dame 49-35 over USC, 11-1 on the season. Definitely highs and lows. Disappointing loss week 2 after a huge win to start the season on the road at Cal Field. It was an upset because they were the underdog going into that matchup. It's almost laughable now, like going back to that and seeing how people from a national landscape looked at that game. Like, what did you see that we didn't see? How in the world was Notre Dame an underdog? They were an underdog because of a left tackle that had one career start. That's why you made Notre Dame an underdog? Because they didn't have a redshirt freshman left tackle playing? Really? You didn't look at the defense? You didn't look at the slow receivers? You didn't look at that terrible quarterback that Texas A&M has that's no longer the starter? Like you look back and you say, man, yeah. And now all these national pundits, and let me stick up for Notre Dame fans because there was some clown behavior. And I usually don't do names. But your boy with the initials JP that has his show, going at Notre Dame fans, coming at him. The dude picked Navy to beat Notre Dame. He put Notre Dame on upset alert when they played Virginia. And he outright picked USC to beat Notre Dame. And then puts out his reaction video and says, oh, the game went the way I thought it went. I just didn't expect Notre Dame to. I expected them not to be able to respond. I expected a moment. I expected USC to put up yardage because you let people talk long enough, this is when you get to the truth. Because I think the Notre Dame defense is inflated a little bit. Tell me another defense that could lose his best 2 pass rushers, have one of his best linebackers out, and lose its first round defensive back and still play at the level they play at. I'll wait. Take Caleb Downs away from Ohio State. Just take him and see what happens. See what happens. Take him. So what are we talking about? A defense that's inflated? Georgia. I saw UMass run all over Georgia. You want to talk about an inflated defense, but you'll hold their gonads on a weekly basis. And then he's coming at Notre Dame fans for coming at him. Like you earned that. Be like homie in what's the movie Baby Boy? Be like homie in the park. Oh, you got heart. Oh, little homie got heart. He gonna hold his chin up. Yeah, hold your chin up. Hold your chin up and take it. Notre Dame fans, they owe you. They owe you, little homie. Take it like a man. Don't get mad. I'm keeping receipts. I'm keeping receipts for the playoffs. Man, shut up. What are you talking about? You acting just like Ohio State, taunting Michigan in pregame, and then getting mad when Michigan is taunting you on your field after they smacked you for the 4th consecutive time. Now you want to get mad and snatch flags. Mullins was right on the field. Like, bro, you had 60 minutes to do all that. All that tough guy stuff, you had 60 minutes to do that. You lost. Go to the locker room. Sing your alma mater. Go to the locker room, bro. That's it. Learn how to lose. JP, you know what I'm talking about. He needs to learn how to lose because he's been wrong more than often concerning Notre Dame. That's corny to me. If you're a professional and it's your job to look objectively at football games, don't allow your personal feelings to come across, bro. You're just mad because your personal feelings have come across and you've been proven wrong. What are you keeping receipts for? You sound like a female breaking into a guy's phone, taking screenshots. Hey, what are you doing? Taking receipts of what? To prove what? That you've been wrong? So you can just come, I told you they were going to lose. You said they weren't going to make it to the playoffs. You said they were going to lose to Navy. You said they were going to lose to Virginia. And you said they were going to lose to USC. And you said the game went the way you thought it would go, and USC got scraped by 14. Really 21, because we just gave them the last touchdown. We didn't even try defensively. Just gave them the last touchdown. USC got scraped by 21. Come on, man. Notre Dame fans, pile on. Even more. Pile on all the way up to December the 20th. Stay on his neck. Stay on his neck. We coming at Notre Dame fans like that, like they don't have a right to be excited or to come at you for your poor observations of their football team. It is what it is. Let's get back to Coach Freeman, Left. He talked about 84 days left, 86 right now. 86 days since Northern Illinois, 84 post-game. This is what he had to say about it.
84 days ago was when we lost to Northern Illinois. But, you know, I think somebody had asked me in a press conference earlier in the week, are you worried that your team hasn't been in close games in the past few weeks? And I said no, because the mentality is one play, one life. Like, this play is the only play that matters. And so I had to continue to remind them, have the urgency that we must have, but this is the only play that matters, and we got to execute. And we had some adversity, but they responded. 14-14 at halftime, the way that our guys came out of that locker room and responded, it was the sense of urgency that we didn't have versus Northern Illinois. You go back and you look at the notes that I met with the captains and I took after that game. It was like, hey, we didn't have the sense of urgency to panic almost that, hey, we got to go out and execute. And they did it today.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely no panic. I think we knew we were the better team. And like I said, we were – the way we were finishing runs, the way we were tackling, I mean, it was just they played hard. They played like a rival. They got some plays off against some mismatches. They went to their best players. But at the end of the day, they were never a punishing team towards us like we were to them. So I think a little bit of why we didn't panic was we knew we could push them around. We knew we could get what we wanted. It was just a matter of time. And we made plays when it was time to make plays. Now I would like to see us go do that against a team that's just as physical, because then I think it puts a little bit more strain on clutch players playing in clutch moments. And so I like the fact that Marcus Freeman had to coach a little bit more in situations where, like you said, he went for it when the momentum was gaining on USC side where we stayed on the field, and even though we didn't convert, we took it all the way down there. And that's a great coaching strategy he took early to stay the aggressor instead of being in those situations that most of these teams got in their rivalry games that stemmed all the rest of the game. So he never let us get on our heels. And I think that's what kept giving us the confidence to go and keep scoring, or being in position to score after that. So kudos to Marcus Freeman playing into that early. And it ended up paying off. I think we stayed aggressive, especially towards the end. Al Golden didn't go away from man. He's like, okay, you know what we're doing, but we're just going to be better at doing it. And we'll outlast you. And Christian Gray, being able to get that second chance and not being taken out, I think that's kudos to Mike making challenge in his room that this is where the stars are made, and we're not gonna let you tap out in these situations. Or maybe it was just Christian Gray wanted that moment, and he made the most out of it.
Execution is something he asks for consistently, week after week. And like he said, at the biggest moment, what he had been asking his team to do, they were able to do. And I think it goes to a bigger message that I'll probably get to in my top 3 narratives. This is finally Marcus Freeman's team. You say, well, man, Shaun, what do you say? When a new coach comes in, especially a first-time head coach, learning the ropes and trying to establish your culture and to get people that have been under a previous regime to buy fully into what you want to do rather than what they're used to doing is a difficult process. It could cause some isms. It could cause some breakages in the locker room. This is all Marcus Freeman from the top down. The flow, the move, the swag, from coaches to players. It's all Marcus Freeman. And I think it's evident now. And the losses come with that as well. He said, remember the pain, as Marcus Freeman says. The pain is included in that. But that's something that I think goes to, what he's been asking for finally showed up at the biggest moment. And that comes from coaching and buy-in. Biggest reason for this run post Northern Illinois, Coach Freeman talked about it, the leadership.
Leadership. Great leadership from our captains, our players, our coaches. Belief. They trusted each other. In every game you go in and you have a little bit of doubt. That's life. But you got to trust beyond knowing. That's what I told those guys. And that's what they've done. They've put the work in. They've worked tirelessly. The preparation has been immaculate. And so that hopefully is a reason why that we had the results that we did.
You guys were so low for days. When did you feel, we got a chance to be special?
I've known from the start of training camp that we had the chance to have a special program. But it's a process. You got to build it. And we had to go through the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in the first 2 weeks of the season. But they continued to just prepare, and they chose to put the work in and not feel bad about themselves. And they believed in themselves, too. And so I've known this team has been a really good team. I told you guys earlier that it was the most talented roster I've had since I've been here. But we had to become a good team, right? The talent is one thing. We've developed to a good team, and it's because of their hard work.
Well, yeah, I think they have developed into a good team against bad teams. And I think for us to be able to be consistent within ourselves, we didn't, I think, which is different than years before, we haven't played to the level of our competition, which we were famously known for heavily during the Brian Kelly era, was that even though we were the better team, we would play to the level of a Pittsburgh, played to the level of Louisville at that time. So I think that this is the year where we've played the way Notre Dame plays, and we've maintained that level and standard, especially after week 2, and then being able to just wake up the way we did. It wasn't like we caught hot streaks like a Miami the first 6-7 weeks, and now you're losing to Georgia Tech, playing Cal close, having Duke go to the wire. So these are the games where we excelled in. It wasn't like, oh, Notre Dame's doing great in one area and then we're slacking severely and giving up this and that and falling off, how other teams that have been ranked and have fallen off in one game seasons like an IU where they wasn't prepared for the moment. So I do think that we're probably the most well-prepared team given what we overcame and what we've been able to dominate and what we've played. Yeah, it's not an SEC quote-unquote schedule, but our measuring stick that we beat in the SEC had their destiny in their hands last night. So it wasn't like they were out of the conversation of being the best team in the SEC. So I do think that Notre Dame is well-equipped to go into hostile environments, neutral environments, and be playoff ready with depth where other teams are struggling to get across the finish line.
Marcus Freeman then went on to talk about the leadership, as we just heard. But after that, man, look, how you recover in this game. How did it show up? Those big plays and those big moments is all about a mantra he's been talking to this team about all season. This is Coach Freeman talking about what he told his team and how they were able to make those big plays at the biggest moments.
Listen, we have to celebrate this thing first. Like, these guys work way too hard not to take a moment and enjoy this victory. This is what I call team glory. And it's when everybody in that locker room knows they had a part of us achieving that. It's not one person. It's everybody that it takes getting their job done for us to achieve this great feeling that we have. So we're going to enjoy this today on this flight home and probably tomorrow. Usually on Sundays we move forward, but listen, we don't have an opponent, so we're going to enjoy this thing probably for 2 days, and then Monday we'll start moving forward and getting back to work. But it's a special moment for this program.
Second row on your left, Pete Sampson.
Highs and highs, Christian Gray lived this season in a game.
Jeez.
Could you take me through what got him to snap back into it after a really difficult second half?
Yeah, he had to reload. You hear me say that all the time, reload. Get your mind back to the place where it needs to be so you can execute, right? And that was a challenge I had for the team before the game, but him specifically. Like, hey, reload. Don't let the last play affect the next play. And when there was a play in the first half, I thought it did. It was after the big catch, the next play, he kind of got the PI. And Christian Gray's a great player, but he had to get back into that moment where hey, nothing else matters but doing your job. Right, for us to achieve team glory. Don't let anything personal affect that. And I'm proud of him because he did. He has faith, and he's a really good player, and he went and showed that in the second half.
Reload. What's the most important? Is cornerback, besides quarterback, is the cornerback position the second must reload position in football where you have to forget what just happened? We know quarterbacks, we talk about that, but cornerback, Riley Leonard had to do it. He throws the interception. Yeah, you got to forget that. He comes right back and throws the dime to Mitchell Evans for the touchdown, right? Christian Gray starts out great, comes out, struggles. You have to reload. All right, quarterback and cornerback are probably the top two positions where you want your entire team to do that, but those are just positions where you have to be able to do that.
Yeah, but I also think that if you think about corners, that reload is only against teams that can actually hurt you, and I think most teams aren't necessarily equipped to just go at a Christian Gray all game. This is one game on the schedule. Yeah, they might go at Christian Gray because they got receivers. But this is just more of a test. And I think Christian Gray's been playing great all season. And for him to be tested in this moment, I think speaks more to his ability as an individual talent on why the defense fits well with him is because even on that part, you can't try him all game because that's where you thought you could go. So if that's the quote-unquote weakness, that's a great weakness to have because Christian Gray put a great nail in the coffin when the time needed to. So even that way, it's going to be tough to finish our defense off and being able to make one-on-one plays down the stretch. But then you got to think that it's just interesting because, okay, well, in this situation, the reload factor is that now, what do you do against a Notre Dame team? You have to have your best offensive day and your best defensive day. How many teams can play up to that level and overcome a 49-point game that we played? How well did USC really play? It was 49 points. They had to overcome something they couldn't score in the last 9-10 games. So I think that for us, we put ourselves in a position of deservingly so, one of the top 3 teams in the country. We should have a great placement and see where it goes from there. But Marcus Freeman has gotten his team right where he needs to be, right on time.
Facts. That Lucky Lefty podcast. Marcus Freeman ended things with this right here. Love this.
For the game, the challenge was we have to win this game at the line of scrimmage. We have to win this game up front and recognize some of the different pressures that they bring defensively. And I thought our offensive linemen did a great job at recognizing and really communicating and executing. Like they played a physical affair up front. And they kept coming off the field saying, keep running, coach, keep running. And that's a confident group that played extremely well today.
To his left, Tyler Horka.
We're tested in the secondary, unlike any other game this year, but for it to end the way that it did with 2 pick sixes, what was that moment like for those guys to basically get the job done?
It was really good. Selfishly, I was thinking about the turnover margin. We have not lost a game this year that there's been only one game we've lost a turnover margin this year, and that was Northern Illinois. And I'm like, man, this is going against everything I believe. And I tell the team about how important the turnover margin is because we were up in the game and down 2 in the turnover margin. Then we get a pick 6. Now we're down 1. We get another pick 6. But they're resilient. They battled. Like, they're never out of the fight. And that's what you love about it, man, that they compete until the clock said 0.
Yo. Turnovers are, you have pushed back on some of his beliefs, especially when it comes to pressure over sacks. You know, you prefer to go ahead and get the sacks. Like, yo, get the guy on the ground. But there is a method to the madness of applying pressure and then the attrition of the pressure showing up in 2 pick sixes late in the game. So, you know, you can believe what you want to believe, but how many people are going to have the faith to walk it out and live it, right? Because we can think different things. We can have different disciplines, but no matter the differences, you know, if it works best for you, as long as you live it out and reap the harvest, I'm good with it. And it seems like I said, this team is bought in to Coach Freeman, and that's what we saw at the end of the game with those 2 pick sixes. You saw a team that when they were at their weakest, probably physically, and just gas and tank on empty, their belief system, you know, turnovers, making big plays, physical play up front, line of scrimmage. That's the core of what Marcus Freeman, when he took the job, said, this is what this program would be. And the identity of the program showed up against USC.
Yeah, and I think what's important is that, you know, this is the finish line. I feel like we're standing up and not bent over out of air. And I think we got another one in us. And it's going to be a challenge these next 2 weeks on identifying what are the areas we need to be ready for to be in this opportunity or this playoff situation where we don't come out flat because of having 2 weeks off. So I think this is a more of a mental challenge that you put yourself through on a coaching standpoint on how do I set this schedule up to still be in play mode even though we're off essentially for 2 weeks. It's a lot of drama that's going to happen in these next 2 weeks. So as much as we think we know, we have no idea who we might play because of how these championship games. So that's 1 week. Then the next week about, okay, how do we stay fresh? How do we stay physical? And how do we still have that edge playing at home when we're not relaxed? It's probably going to be cold. Whoever we're playing, we don't know. It could be last minute. Something that Marcus Freeman, as a coach, this is where you flip on championship mode and be able to have a great staff around you to keep you prepared in these moments.
Lucky Lefty Podcast. When we come back, we'll hear from Christian Gray, and we'll also hear from Riley Leonard, his best press conference all season long. You're going to want to hear from your quarterback. Notre Dame 49-35 over USC to get to 11-1 on the season and await where they will be seated in the CFP playoff in the quarterfinals. Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different. We'll be right back.
What's up, family? The merch shop is finally here. Lucky Lefty Network merch shop. We got it all. From the shirts to the hoodies to the hats to the nitty gritties. Come here right now. Shop with us. Come get the swag because you know, if anything else, we spin it different. You see the gritty. You see how we get down. It's elite.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, Onora Boys in the building. Malik, ZAIRE, SHAUN Davis, brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. That premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. Apple Podcast, Spotify, audio edibles each and every day, CFB Nation. Twitter, X, TikTok, Instagram at Lucky Lefty Pod. Subscribe at Lucky Lefty Network on YouTube. Get the thumbs up to help with the views. Leave your comments, questions. We respond to all. We're the home of the misguided passion, forever committed to making sure that we spin it different. Left, you spent the holiday out there in LA, bro. You're smack dab in the middle of GNX hitting the streets. I mean, did you feel it? Did you feel the vibe? Did you hear the talk? Did you sense the buzz? What was it like out there? I think you're on mute, bro.
It's just another day, man. California is just so big, man. Yeah, in this part, you kind of get the vibe that everybody's bumping it. You hear it when you drive by, and people kind of got the vibe. But, you know, it's one of those things where you just want to keep seeing it go. You just want to see where's this going from here. And there's an excitement in the streets here for sure.
Yeah, man, I've heard DJ Head, Hitter, and a couple other cats hint to he's not done. And I'm sitting up here like, hey, man, if this dude drops an album after the Super Bowl performance, a part 2, I'm like, man, look, yeah, Drake, I'm with you. I support you, man. Go get all the money you can get in litigation. Go get every cent and go get every little penny you feel like you should get paid. I have no problem with that man getting paid for his past works and for his catalog and what he deserved. Man, get everything you feel like you deserve. Get it. But you're gonna have this L is gonna go on a little bit longer, bro. You're gonna have to wear this L a little bit longer. It's gonna be a little bit more prolonged than you probably thought. Unfortunately, hey man.
But Drake, Drake make a ton of money from his catalog, so he still got one dance, going crazy. He's still, so it's like he's never losing in music. He's just culturally, contemporarily losing. He's in the moment losing, but not in the bigger scheme of things.
It's funny that you mentioned culture. Because I think you're right, Left. Culture matters. And sometimes that's what people don't understand, right? You can talk about sales, you can get into the metrics and the streams, and this person is better because of this, and this person is better because of that. Eventually, it all comes back to what does the culture say? And see, it doesn't matter, because if you're not part of the culture, then what you say really doesn't matter. The culture is not about streams. Culture is not about metrics. Yeah, it's not culture. The culture is about the streets. That's the culture. What's the culture saying? And you're right. The culture is saying, it has been saying, you're going to have to wear this one, Draco. You have to wear this one. It's not going your way. And one of the greatest things after the game that Riley Leonard talked about was the culture and Notre Dame and why it's different. This is what your quarterback had to say about the culture and Notre Dame.
John Brace.
Hey, Riley. No Benjamin Morrison for several games. No Howard Cross again in this game. You lose Jeremiah Love midway through the third quarter. You're not able to close it out with him. Ashley Craig still on. Close the season with 10 straight wins. What enabled this team to come together and find different ways to win week after week?
Yeah, everybody wants to talk about culture in college football, and everybody wants to claim they have a great football culture. I think this place is different, and it starts from the very top. You got a man like Coach Freeman who walks into the facility every single day, knows every single person's name, and he told me he asked himself, what do I need to do today? Who do I need to be to elevate this program? He asks himself that every single day, and it's very clear that he is the perfect fit for this program and a great leader of these young men. Everybody on this team has each other's back, and it stems from the top down. So, yeah, I don't even remember the question, but shout out Coach Freeman. Yeah, you said it best. It's hard to win college football games. My freshman year, I went 3-9, so it's crazy, long ways away from that. But every single week, these guys prepare their tails off, and I feel like we practice exactly how we play. When we have good weeks of practice, when we're throwing certain balls or hitting certain runs, it shows up. It's literally like deja vu when it gets to game time. So this team, we'll be very ready and very healed up for this playoff game coming up.
That's honest. He's right. We practice good, we play good. We don't practice good, yeah. It's pretty much showing up like that.
Yeah, Notre Dame's one of the rare places, man. He's leaking some of the sauce, man. Yeah, we definitely practice exactly how we play. And I think just the preparation that the staff understands and knows how to have to be ready for moments in these games, I think has been excellent. Goes back to how year 3 of a program, those coaches trust Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman trusts those coaches where dissension has been there before and it hasn't worked. Still had a decent product, but it hasn't been put together like it's been. And for Marcus Freeman to each year in a short period, we're only talking 3 years, to make huge adjustments from 1 to 2 and then from 2 to 3 with all things that have taken place that are definitely different than what he would experience other places. I think, this is undoubtedly one of the better teams Notre Dame has put together, not including what, is still to come with these next playoff games. But in terms of meeting the expectation of having the best season possible to get this 5th spot so you get a home game, that's definitely probably a winnable game. And where that was the expectation, but that's hard to do. And for Marcus Freeman to accomplish that in a sense and finish top 3 in the regular season. I mean, you know, it's one thing to say it, but to actually get it done as well and say it, I mean, this is beyond probably what Marcus Freeman could have imagined.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It is, as I said before, man, you can see the culture speaking now. Like, forget everything that surrounds it. At the end of the day, what comes forth, I'll say this again. What you see and what you saw in Los Angeles, in Columbus, was culture winning over everything else. Michigan has a culture. They have a formula that they stuck to. Even when Jim Harbaugh left, they stuck to it. And they knew that that culture, even though they didn't have as much talent, that culture would give them an opportunity to beat a more talented team that does not have a winning culture. They have winning talent at Ohio State. They have yet to prove that they have a winning culture. It's a difference. You go out and stack talent and win games, especially when the schedule is, but they went out and spent what, $20 million for talent left? That talent can't override culture. Culture shows up when you face your two most difficult opponents. Oregon, culture showed up at the end of that game. Penn State, culture showed up. They should have won by 2 touchdowns, and the culture made it close.
Yeah.
Michigan at home, 20.5-point favorite. Culture shows up. That $20 million, do you think the boosters are happy about that investment right now? Now, conceivably, they could go on a run and win the championship in the playoff. They could, Left. It's conceivable. You don't trust Will Howard. I don't trust Will Howard at the end of the day. But, hey, it is what it is. Culture is very important, like Riley said. A lot of people talk about it. But, man, Marcus Freeman, he's actually about it. Lucky Lefty podcast. Riley Leonard was able to get the tight ends going along with Mike Denbrock. This is what he had to say.
Great to get those guys going. That's a group that is very unselfish. Every day you walk into the facility, and if some guy makes a catch or has a good play in practice, the other guys are just going berserk. They are so in it for each other. And that's kind of how the whole team is, but that group specifically. Like you see Mitch Evans he's got the biggest smile on his face after we threw that touchdown to Eli.
The interception, was that just a miscommunication? And what was it like to follow that up? Your very next pass is one of those touchdown passes too.
Somebody, I walked to the sideline and somebody goes, he had enough time to fair catch it and then catch it. And then I got to work on that. I take a lot of pride in protecting the football. That can't happen. But to be able to respond is what Coach Freeman talks about all the time. Reload, win the interval, reload. And earlier in the year, if I threw a pick, the next drive, I'm sure, didn't turn out to be what we wanted. Now, boom, we throw the pick. Defense gets a 4 and out. That's what should be highlighted. And then we go down there, throw it up to Mitch Evans. He makes a great play. That's what gives me a little bit of hope. And I got to do a much better job. That was embarrassing on my end.
Just to the
Can I say something, Left? When everybody was touting Riley Leonard coming to Notre Dame, there was one person screaming that he doesn't throw the deep ball well. Do you know who that person was?
Who was that person?
You can raise your hand, Left. You can go and raise your hand. You can go ahead. I'll go ahead and give you some shine. You said, I watched the film. He doesn't throw the ball well down the field. And I would think that's the only box he has not checked in the passing game, which literally doesn't allow Chris Mitchell to be as effective as he should be.
You've only seen him play short yardage. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I would much rather you. That's why it was strange when he said, throwing a deep ball, he loves throwing it and seeing his guys have to go up and make, like, dude, throw the ball out. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it was amazing to hear him say, and true Riley Leonard form, like, yo, that was embarrassing. And say, really, it's not even about me. It's about the defense who came out and got that stop right behind that to give us an opportunity to go right back down the field and throw that touchdown to Mitchell Evans. So, and I think Mitchell Evans is a result of the culture. Mitchell Evans wasn't happy early in the season. This is not what he came back for, to have limited targets in the passing game that had needed development. This isn't what he came back for. And things could have gone left, pun intended. But the culture reeled him back in. And he's bought in. He's bought in practice. He's bought in that building. He's bought in. And I'm cool with people being frustrated as long as they can come to themselves and get back to team glory. I rock with it because you're just being honest with yourself. You're just being honest, like, hey, man, I'm not feeling this right now. I'm not saying I'm trying to be a distraction. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. But ultimately, he came to himself and he got back to the team glory side of things. And I think that's another reflection of what Riley Leonard was talking about with the culture and what Marcus Freeman has created.
Yeah, allowing a system you can reel guys back in through playing better, and that's through having great coaching, a good coaching staff, and a belief in what y'all doing. Because sometimes when a team losing to a team like NIU, you can get off the rails and sometimes mess up way more in the season than you have the potential for. And I think Marcus Freeman being able to reel guys back in after a loss like NIU and then go on a greater than expected run where we're beating teams like with the point differential that we are, that only happens when guys are like, okay, I believe in where he's trying to take us. And Marcus Freeman hasn't wavered in that aspect. And bouncing back from what people would call embarrassing losses, I mean, he's done better than anybody in the short 3 years that you can expect. And he's only ascending with an opportunity in this format. Hasn't been done before. Well, I think everybody feels comfortable that he has the team best prepared to take on this challenge.
Yeah, it is. And I see people in the chat talking about that threat. That's fair. That's a consideration. That's part of a play, anticipating pressure. What's also part of the play as a quarterback? Anticipating the speed of your wide receiver and throwing the ball out there to let him go get it. And that's what we have not seen. Like, let him go get it. Even when people have been wide open, they have had to slow down and wait on the deep pass. That's an anticipatory issue. Because at that point, you saw Jaden Mayava was just letting it rip. He saw one-on-one on the outside. He was hitting that back foot and letting it ride. And was taking the hit. Like, get it out there. Let your guys go make a play. Man, I think that's the only box that really Riley has not checked, because he has improved tremendously in the passing game. He really has. He's improved tremendously. That's the only area where I'll say, man, I need to see that deep pass at some point in the playoffs, or I would love to see it. Christian Gray left. Man, some good and bad and some ugly on Saturday. But he talked about that pick six, what led to it, and I couldn't be more happier for a young man, even going back to building a relationship with him and his family right before he committed to Notre Dame. To see him have that big play and that big moment, And that class of 2023 they were the first ones to really start talking about national championship as a recruiting class. And to see them show up is absolutely amazing. Christian Gray, this is what he had to say.
Just by reloading every time, what Coach Freeman always said, just reload. But just really what he said to me really stuck to me. I just kept it in my head, just reload. Like, I got to get back to this, you know?
When Watts was running his back, it looked like you're kind of drilling out the play. You took a knee out of the field. Like, what's going through your mind when you see that?
I'm just happy to see my boy get a pick. Like, X, knowing him, that's my brother and everything, so I'm glad that he got the pick six and everything. I just took a knee just to reel it all in, just knowing that we just executed and just balled out.
To see him and X was petty, bro. Because X just looked at them cats running down the sideline like, what's up? And look, man, this is the swag. Notre Dame players really, a lot of Notre Dame coaches, man, try to, are image conscious when it comes to Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman seems to give his players leeway to be a little petty. Because, X and Christian, as soon as they got to the end zone, threw up the Trojan sign and threw it down. It was like,
yeah.
I've really never seen Notre Dame teams like participate in that type of stuff. But Marcus Freeman kind of like gives them that freedom to go out, have fun, play, talk that talk, as long as you walk that walk, because you have to be able to back it up. And it was actually cool to see. I know some people might, jump in their pulpit and say, oh, it's sportsmanship, but I actually enjoyed it, Left. I really did.
Yeah, I think it was something awesome to see Marcus Freeman still be a player in a sense where he can understand those guys getting excited in that way and then being able to make that play and still be able to be focused on what the mission is. And that's the good coaching aspect, that Marcus Freeman can play both sides like that. And, hopefully we can see more of that in the playoffs, which is, you see the picture of the locker room with ZAIRE holding the trophy up. I mean, that's what it's about. And so that's parts of the little parts of recruiting that you would like to see as a recruit. Because it's like, okay, I can be myself there, and it's not as stuffy as people make it. Guys having fun, and they win a lot of games.
Did you ever hold the Jules Shillelagh, bro? Did you ever get a chance to hold it?
Yeah, I held it for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man. Is that something big in the locker room? Like people take pictures with it and stuff? And
man, everything is people take pictures and being all that. It wasn't a big thing until now, where like, oh, I should have thought of that when I was there. You're not thinking pictures. You like, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
Now they document everything, so like, damn, it's kind of a part of it now.
Yeah, and then he went on to talk about Marcus Freeman and kind of extended the sentiments of one Riley Leonard.
Just from Coach Freeman, he's just a great inspiration. I talk to him almost every day. Like, he's just a great inspiration as a man, and he gives us talk about family, everything. Just doing this whole entire season, just learning from him. It's just been amazing, and it's just like just trailing his footsteps, making good decisions, knowing what's the bad decisions, and just having team glory.
Big fan of Christian Gray. I think, like you said, when it's interesting when players have that inspiration from their head coach or the older senior leadership on the team. You get more excited and have something that you understand you're playing that's bigger than you. And when you're in an environment where you're playing that's bigger than you, all the NIL and all that stuff doesn't matter. You go in other locker rooms and you'll be surprised. Not saying Ohio State is like that, but there's Ohio State players go like, man, I love playing for Ryan Day. Love, say the same intimate sentiments that our guys are saying about loving the culture, loving who they're playing for, loving going to work every day. those are teams that are usually going to be the most successful. And you're looking at other teams that are getting in fights over the planting the flag in their field. So stuff that I don't think we're as focused on. We're more focused on playing for each other and loving coming to work every day. I think that's the biggest thing that I heard in terms of guys being ready to play in the moment. Anything on mute.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So that's Christian Gray, Riley Leonard, their thoughts on not only the win over USC, but the culture and the season. They sit and wait to see who they'll take on in Notre Dame Stadium in the quarterfinals. Let me ask you this question on the way out, Left. Of course, being independent, just in life, usually independence is a greater cost. To be independent of the big movers or the conglomerate. And being independent, that cost is you can't have a higher ranking in the playoff higher than 5. But being able to rest up, being able to finish off and start early on the transfer portal and totally focus on that and get healthy. Is that a fair trade-off from having that bye, in your opinion, or would you prefer to have the bye? Is it enough of a trade-off?
Well, it just depends on what the team needs. If we need a team to get a little healthier, the 2 weeks is good. Guys can relax. It's just how do you manage, which I think is the biggest coaching strategy you need. How do you manage these 2 weeks, dealing with the anticipation of who you're going to play, as well as not falling off on that edge of physicality, being ready to play, being locked in, being focused, staying ready, not being too anxious. And because this 2 weeks can feel like 2 months as a player. So it's going to be important on how do you stay steady in those moments. And then from there, it's just a matter of, all right, now do we have everybody ready to be in a good spot?
Lucky Lefty podcast. All right, Left. Recruiting. Mon-Fri was at the USC Notre Dame game. Jalen Wiggins came in for the Florida State game. Antoine Parham, wide receiver. Who am I forgetting? Derek Meadows is still out there. I'll sum everything up this way. As it stands today, Notre Dame is not going to close this 2025 recruiting class well. Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, another one you can throw in the mix. Notre Dame's not going to close well in this recruiting class. Which is why I said Notre Dame specifically at certain positions is going to be uber aggressive in the portal. Uber aggressive in the portal. But the truth of the matter is, from an overall roster standpoint, the only area that I think they needed to do better at, there are 2 areas. They needed to do better, but this is something I asked Ryan Roberts earlier, because we have to be objective, and sometimes that escapes the thought process as a fan, objectivity. I asked Double R, and he'll be on with us later on in the week. I said, Double R, is it fair to expect anything more than what Notre Dame was able to get from a wide receiver standpoint with a new coach coming in? And realistically and objectively, he was like, nah. He was like, really? They missed on, it was certain people they missed on that weren't big time guys left, that were layups. Like literally, these are layups. These are like 4-star kids that are layups. Just go get them. They might not be the top end guys, but it's like at this point, go after the top end guys in 26. Like put your energy into the top end guys in 26 because the chances of landing the 25 top end guys are slim to none, especially if you really believe at that point that Deuce is shaky. If you really believe and you know, everybody else might not know, but you know he's talking to other people. You know he's taking visits over the summer. You know this. Then your energy should have shifted or shift your energy to the 26 upper echelon wide receivers. Because more than likely, you're not going to get big time 25 wide receivers because objectively, it's difficult to do that with a new wide receiver coming in, coach coming in and having to establish relationships that didn't exist previously with the top guys, you know, and maybe you flip some guys down the stretch from other programs, you know, but as it stands today, they're probably not going to end well with the guys they have on the board for the 25 recruiting class. They're probably not. And, you know, D-line, wide receiver, more than likely they'll go to the portal. They've been going to the portal for the nickel help. It's a possibility. But Notre Dame, I think, is at a point now to where they're not just taking guys to build depth. You have to be an impact dude. They're trying to go after the impact dudes.
Yeah.
It's, okay, if we're going to D-line, we're going to go get a dude on the interior. A dude. So we'll see. You know, and some people might feel like that's a bummer. You know, it's like I think Matt Faramo was forecasted to USC. I mean, I would have loved to get him. I would have loved to get Nathaniel Wusu-Boateng. But you know what I want? More than anything, more than talent, I want people that want to be at Notre Dame. I don't want anybody wishy-washy. This is not a wishy-washy situation. Not this program. You can be wishy-washy at other schools. Notre Dame is not the type of place where you want somebody that's wishy-washy. Hey, man, if you want to stay close to home, stay close to home. If you want a certain amount of money, and it is what it is. The culture is what it is at Notre Dame. The way they do things is the way it is. And other than that, man, I don't see anything that needs to change. And we have to be honest. The impact, most people might feel like the impact of this season should impact the recruiting. The impact of this season is going to come in 26 from a recruiting standpoint. That's where the impact of this season comes. You see, the 25 class saw the loss to Northern Illinois in the fall. So they were impacted by that. Notre Dame tried to get on some kids late. But as far as the overall season success, a playoff push, that's going to impact the 26 and 27 classes, especially on the D-line. Now, look, if we look up in 26 and there is no impact wide receiver and D-line recruit, now we need to have a bigger conversation, ladies and gents. I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. I'm not sugarcoating that at all. If you look up at this point in the 25 and 26 season, in the season for the 26 and 27 classes, and we're still sitting here saying no impact wide receivers, no high-end impact defensive linemen. Yeah, conversation needs to be had because now you're starting to see playoff teams on the field. That should equal recruiting and big-time recruits, specifically at those difference-making positions. So we'll see how it goes. Crazy weekend. Left really thought something was going to happen. He really thought something was going to happen in that rivalry down there in the state of Alabama, boy. He was pulling for the Tigers. He was pulling for the Tigers, boy. He thought something was going to happen. Left, you couldn't even get the 4. You couldn't even get the 4. You hoping for 5. You couldn't even get the 4 losses. You couldn't even get the 4 losses, bro.
Georgia and Drew Pine, man.
Huh?
Georgia and Drew Pine.
Georgia and Drew Pine. They let you down? Georgia and Drew Pine let you down. Hey, man. Georgia, hey, let me tell you something. The transitive property, if you believe in it, fine. If you don't, fine. Let me tell you something, man. The way we spanked Georgia Tech, I'm sitting there watching Georgia like, man, what the heck is going on? Like, this is ridiculous, Kirby. Like that. Kirby. I forget the reporter that somebody put out that bracket. They predicted a bracket, and someone had Notre Dame playing Alabama in a 6-11 matchup. And somebody, I forget, it was someone that covers the team. Somebody that covers the team responded to that tweet in that bracket and was like, man, I would much rather have who was it? Was it SMU? I think they said they would much rather have SMU come to Notre Dame than Alabama. And I disagree. Because Jalen Milroe and Cole passing the football, I am not worried about that dude. At one man, did you see him against Oklahoma? They didn't let that dude pass the ball against Auburn. They were like, dude, run this rock. We're running this rock. You hit a little play action. Not worried. Please bring Jalen Milroe to Notre Dame Stadium in the cold. Please. I love that matchup. And that Alabama defense, Swiss cheese. Please. Did you see Oklahoma run the ball against that defense? Please. Bring them. Send a plane for them. Private. Go get them. Come on up here. Take this whooping. Take it. I'm all for it, man. It's not too many teams that I would be. First of all, there's no football team I would not want to see. None. Bring them on. Let's get it. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Great show, Left. Players only. The guys, congratulations to our boy and our bro, Big O Oscar McBride. Man, congratulations to him and his football team on being I hope I'm saying this right, Division 6 champions in the state of California. Division 6 champions in the state of California. Congratulations to Marietta Mesa.
That's awesome.
They won the title, bro.
Heck yeah.
Congratulations to Coach, our bro, Big O. And we'll talk about it on Players Only this week. Yes, there will be a Players Only podcast this week. The guys are ready. Big O had prep. Big O was like, I love y'all, but I'm locked and loaded this week. I ain't got time to talk about Notre Dame. I'm on this championship.
That's right.
I'm on this championship. He said the same thing about the semifinals. He was like, nah, man, y'all gonna have to miss me this week. I'm locked and loaded. So congratulations to Big O, his Marietta Mesa squad on their championship, Division 6 champs. If you go to the Lucky Lefty Pod Twitter page, there is the local TV out there did a nice little piece on them, and we posted it on our IG store. So you can go check it out at Lucky Lefty Pod on our IG. So I think we covered everything, Left. I think we got to everything. You know what time it is, though. You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat. Petticoat Junction. It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's pettiest story? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction, Petty Story of the Day, brought to you by Nora Whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. At Premium American Whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. Ryan Day, calling Ryan Day. Train's about to pull off. Ryan Day, calling Ryan Day. Let me tell you something. Jim Harbaugh was right, boy. Jim Harbaugh, he scoped you out a long time ago. Jim Harbaugh said you're a fraud. You're a fraud. You took over Urban's program. That's the only reason you started out successful. He laid the groundwork for you. You don't build from the ground up. That's not the dude you are. Coach Holtz was right about you. You soft. You soft. And then you want to go at the 85-year-old man. But he was right. He told the truth. You soft, dude. Your team is soft, dude. Your program is soft, dude. Sharon Moore laughed at you, turned around, and waved to the crowd in your stadium. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. We done smacked you again. You soft. Your players are soft. You taunt Michigan. You taunt a Michigan team that you know is nowhere near the team they've been the last 3 seasons. And you taunt them to start the game. And then you get bullied. After trying to be the bully, fake bullies, might I add, because you're a reflection of your head coach. All that fake bravado is fake. It's fake. And then you have the nerve to get mad. Your players act like a fool. You're just standing there. No control. You can see there's no leadership, no control. No control. The players run that program. It was evident after the game. Totally evident after the game. And then when you have an alum like Kurt Herbstreit saying half the squad needs to be suspended by the Big Ten commissioner for that next game, which will probably be a playoff game, I'm totally with him. When you have an alum saying that, it's problems. It's okay, man. It's okay. Just soft, man. Just admit it. Admit it. And Sharon Moore got his KDOT energy on Saturday. Somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it. Watch your brother do it. Somebody had to walk in there and expose you for who you are. See, the 1-point loss of Oregon wasn't good enough. There were excuses made for you. But there are no excuses for what happened Saturday. None at all. Every Buckeye show podcast has turned on you. National championship be darned. 4 consecutive losses to Michigan. 4 consecutive being out physical and being bullied twice at the crib as humongous favorites. You're not even going to the Big Ten championship game, man. You threw James Franklin a rope. You helped him out. You made him look better. I don't know what else to say other than live in it. Accept it. $20 million couldn't help you. The fame couldn't help you. The transfers couldn't help you. And oh, by the way, I'm all for Cal McCord in the locker room with the blah, 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 all up in your face. Because you scapegoated the heck out of him. You're a clown, bro. You're a clown. And shout out to Sharon Moore for showing everybody exactly who you are. That dude beat you with a third-string quarterback I'm going to say that again. He walked into the horseshoe and beat you with a third-string quarterback. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. And the way I feel about you, if you play Michigan again, they will whoop you again. They will whoop you again. Because they know all they have to do is punch you in the mouth over and over again. And you'll fold. You'll fold. Might not be the same score, but the outcome will be the same. Michigan will walk out of the horseshoe with another win. It's super soft, dude. It's super soft. Shout out to my boy Roosevelt. Where you at, bro? Roosevelt, where you been? Where you been? What's up with your Canes? You don't have anything else to say, right? Because you want to talk about Northern Illinois all year long. Where you at? Syracuse. We went up to Syracuse and scraped them with Drew Pine. We scraped them with Drew Pine a couple of years ago. Roosevelt, where you at, bro? You don't have anything to say? You don't have anything to say about Mario Cristobal trying to act like this isn't an abject failure? The way he's ended this season, his coaching, taking a field goal on 3rd and long instead of going for the tie, thinking he was going to get the ball back with that horrid defense. You really thought you were going to get the ball back from Syracuse on the road the way your defense has been playing? Or you're clueless. You're clueless as a coach. You're absolutely clueless. So I need Notre Dame fans. Let's send out an APB for our good friend of the program, Roosevelt Carney. I'm going to hit him up on Facebook just to make sure he's okay. We have to make sure he's okay. We have to make sure. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Everybody, we appreciate you guys. Stay locked in this week. We're going to have some fun conversations surrounding National Signing Day, the portal, possibilities for Notre Dame in the portal, and much, much more. For Left, SD2 Mics, go over and support Spotify, Apple Podcasts, CFB Nation. Subscribe on YouTube, man. We love you guys. 11-1, 49-35 over the Trojans, December the 20th. We're looking forward. National Signing Day on Thursday. Wednesday, the portal opens up shortly thereafter. Have a great day, but most of all, make sure you continue to spend it different.